Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. The big news of the week was, but who knows what it is? Is it Hunter Biden? Is it Joe Biden getting 10 million or 10% of a deal and being paid off by the Chinese? Who knows? But honestly, I think one of the big stories of the week, and the one that was fascinating to watch for sure, was the confirmation hearing of Judge Amy Coney Barrett, who has been nominated to the Supreme Court by Donald Trump, and watching the partisan performances, because that's what they were, performances. So the question is, what does it mean? Because as Cory Booker said, this goose is cooked. This is going to happen. Amy Coney Barrett is going to make it onto the Supreme Court. So what's that mean for the defense of the Second Amendment? Who better to talk about that and cases that are probably heading to the Supreme Court than Alan Gottlieb from the Second Amendment Foundation and the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. Alan, how are you, sir?
I'm great, Tom. Good to be with you and your listeners.
Well, thank you. So I assume you probably caught at least some of the hearings. It was kind of fun theater anyway.
I caught the theater at the hearings, and I also caught the theater outside the hearings with all the gun prohibition and confiscation groups putting out emails, blasts, get their supporters to oppose her nomination, and money that they spent on advertising as well to try and turn the tide again, against us, so to speak.
What are they so afraid of?
Well, what they're afraid of is that she reads the Constitution as it's written, looks at its original intent, and has issued some opinions already from the bench that pretty much support gun rights. And they can't handle that because that throws a monkey wrench in getting the court to legislate on their behalf or not take cases that we're bringing up through the court system right now to help overthrow some anti-gun laws.
You had a phrase in the middle of that. I thought it was perfect. It's getting the court to legislate from their bench. And that's really how they see the Supreme Court, as an extension of Congress of, okay, if we actually can't get something passed, we can't get the Congress to vote on it and pass it, the people don't actually want it, we could still get the Supreme Court to, in essence, make law. And so they just see that as a legitimate use of the Supreme Court. And a lot of us think, well, that's completely wrong. That's the opposite of what it's supposed to do.
Correct. They're also kind of giddy thinking that they're going to win the White House and control the Senate and be able to pass a lot more restrictive anti-gun laws and want the court to be able to rubber stamp those. And, of course, Judge Barrett on the court throws a monkey wrench in those plans as well.
Yeah, the quick history is supposedly it's 5-4 conservatives, but the truth of it is we don't know where Roberts is. We had 10 Second Amendment cases before headed to the Supreme Court, and they turned them all down. And the thinking is, although we never know exactly what's going on inside, but the thinking is the 4 justices that would like to get some explanation and refinement of the Heller decision looked at it and said, we can't trust Roberts. With Barrett on the court, what are we looking at? Because, I know that there are cases that are probably headed that way.
Well, correct. And with Barrett on the court, that means these cases probably are going to move, and the court will probably, decide to hear some Second Amendment cases to further cement Second Amendment rights in America. And some of those cases entail things like, concealed carry cases that are percolating up through the court system right now, so-called assault and ban cases and banning semi-automatic firearms that are percolating up the courts, magazine capacity limits on magazines, 10 rounds, some places 8 rounds. Those cases are percolating on up. Likewise, 18 to 21-year-old rights for firearms ownership and carrying are percolating on up, including a new case the Second Amendment Foundation filed in Pennsylvania this week.
Right.
And then we also have restoration cases as well to restore people's firearms rights percolating on up.
And of course, one of Barrett's dissents was on a restoration case, basically saying that, yes, the law may say that felons can't own a gun, but that doesn't make sense if they're not a violent felon. So she has an opinion on that as well.
Correct. She thinks the government should be held to the standard. They need to show that the individual is more of a danger than general society as a whole who have gun rights. And if the government can't show that the person is dangerous, or is more likely to commit a crime, then they shouldn't be able to take their rights away for the rest of their life.
I've been trying to explain to people how important the election is, and I think, and for me, and I've been saying this all along, and you and I have been in lockstep on this 2016 election, which is, it was about judges and justices. It's about judges and justices, and Trump has put more than 200 judges on the federal bench and 2+, maybe probably 3 justices on the Supreme Court. As we go forward in this election, which is barely 2 weeks away now, if Trump were to win, and he would probably get a chance to put 1 or 2 more justices, my thinking on this is this. That's my question. It's a long way to get there. I see a good, strong, conservative Supreme Court as a firewall against not just federal laws, but a lot of these states that are turning blue and passing gun control laws. A good, strong Supreme Court is the firewall against that. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, but in my opinion, it's only half the firewall. The other half of the firewall, Tom, are the appeals courts, because most cases never get to the Supreme Court. They get decided at the appeals court level, and Trump has already flipped some of the appeals courts away from being anti-gun to being pro-gun. 4 more years would cement that in a lot of the other circuits, so that a lot of the cases that never get to the Supreme Court could be cited at a lower level in favor of the Second Amendment.
Let me ask you a question, because you hear the same things I do. And I get people online and even, just saying to me, look, I don't like Trump. I don't like his tweets, and then they come up and, oh, by the way, he did the bump stock thing, so he's not really pro-gun, and so I'm going to go third party. What do you say?
Well, when it comes to the bump stock thing, so to speak, as you phrased it, and I'm not in favor of banning so-called bump stocks by any stretch of the imagination. But what was going to happen was Congress was going to pass a bill that was significantly stricter than his executive order that would have taken out more than just bump stocks and would have been there forever. An executive order can come and go. Trump can reverse that executive order, right after the election, so to speak, and an executive order is gone. So it isn't permanent. So we faced something that could have been permanent. It could have been a whole lot worse. And Trump felt that strategically that was a better way to go. You can agree with it, you can disagree with it, but it isn't because he's anti-gun rights. That's definitely not the case.
So actually, it was a preemptive move. Say, we'll do this one thing in a way that is reversible, as opposed to, and you're right, the will of Congress was there. They were going to do something. It was going to include triggers. For those who don't understand, it was going to say basically anything that makes a gun possibly shoot faster. So aftermarket triggers, parts, trigger jobs, anything like that, it was going to be considerably worse. So he said, okay, tell you what we'll do. We'll do this thing. It'll take it away from them. And I like your idea. It can be undone either by him or by a future president or somebody at some point. And yeah, but it does drive people crazy. And I will say this. One of the things I tell people is, look, Donald Trump may not be 100% everything you want him to be. Got it. But Joe Biden is 100% everything you don't want. And his list of gun confiscation plans and making you pay $200 per magazine that you own to register them under the National Firearms Act goes on and on. People go, I had somebody this morning say, really? I didn't know that. I'm thinking, how do you not know that? Gun owners, you've got to inform yourselves.
Yeah, well, that's his plan for the magazines you currently own. New ones he dissolved in favor of banning.
Oh, yeah, he would stop the manufacturer.
Right, so he's totally 100% against us. But again, it's easy to just sum it up. Don't let the good get in the way of the perfect.
Yep.
We have a good president on Second Amendment rights against a really bad one. And in some key battleground states, like Pennsylvania and Arizona, a Libertarian Party candidate on the ballot could just siphon away enough votes to put Biden in the White House.
There you go. Third-party vote could put Biden in the White House. Alan Gottlieb, thank you so much. I appreciate your time as always.
Welcome, Tom. Thank you.
All right, you take care.